Good evening. I just wanted to make a short intra-week update. Well, first thing to note is that we have just one day left in the month, one trading day left in the month, and the week, of course, which is Friday. And we can see, starting off with the dollar index, this was from the previous video that I made on how we traded from the internal range liquidity to external range liquidity, which is this high here, the buy side liquidity there. I wanted to note that we created and confirmed a swing low right there, and that we should expect a massive expansion the next day, which was today, which is today, Thursday. But I didn't mention those things. And also to note this volume imbalance, which could act as some sort of resistance in price, and we tapped into it and actually rejected so low that we came back to the low of day, I believe. And speaking of the low of day, when price traded lower, because we closed this volume imbalance, well, we closed the gap by trading and closing to the top of the candle there. But I wanted to see, when price was trading lower again over here, I wanted to see if price maybe wanted to come down to the actual closing price and fill up this liquidity void that we have, because in between these two areas in price we didn't really get any candle or even a week trading back to. So I thought we were gonna come down, reject from this area, then push higher, but that was not the case. So I'm just going to remove this for now, but keep that in mind that we could actually come and fill it up before pushing higher. If we don't, then I expect a continuation to the upside, because if we notice over here, this CB, the fair value gap, which by the way is from this candlestick's low to this candlestick's high, we have a fair value gap here, which is obviously a CB, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. Notice how this candle has now closed above this fair value gap. The next hurdle would be this bearish order block, this last up close candle before the expansion to the downside. If we can also invalidate this order block by closing above it or even trading above it, then I expect a continuation to the 20 days high on the dollar index. So let's close this up and clear this up. So I expect a continuation higher to the buy side liquidity or the 20 days high residing up there. The pair that I'll be trading this with will be AUDUSD, the Aussie. The reason I'm choosing the Aussie in this case, besides the video that I've shown, the sort of follow-up and everything, this whole video, for those that don't know, was uploaded, I believe, 2 days ago during the Asia session. Actually, it's probably just yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So I had this whole idea and I actually took the trade, and it was as simple and straightforward as it looks. But the next move that I'm paying attention to now is from the 4-hour chart. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we still have that sell side liquidity right there from the 4th of March, which is basically this month's low. So we're coming back to this month's low, basically, is what I'm trying to say to myself. But why would I be looking for that low? How would I be looking for an entry? Well, firstly, we got a liquidity sweep up there at the highs. We got a sweep there, or you can call it a turtle soup, which is more visible on a lower time frame, which I'll go to in a moment. But we got a sweep up there. We got a displacement to the opposite direction, closure below multiple lows like this low or that low over there, and we confirm the shift to the downside. The last thing to note is the fact that we have not disrespected this fair value gap despite the deeper retracement into it. Well, we peaked out a little bit there with the bodies, but I still wouldn't consider this disrespected yet. I would just consider this to be a retracement Why am I paying more attention to LZ than other ones? Well, because of, again, OTE, optimal trade entry. When you measure the range from the high to the low that we created, enabling the OTE, which for me is the 75% and the 68.4, we can see that price has traded back into that area on the 4-hour time frame. There's the fair value gap roughly in that same area. There's an order block roughly in that area. So I'll be looking for a continuation to the downside to clear this sell side liquidity while the dollar clears the buy side up there. That's why I'm choosing AUDUSD, and the fact that we're going into the Asia session, so we might get the setup form during Asia. So if we are going to be working with a 4-hour PD array, in this case, let's just say the order block. If we're working with this bearish order block from the 4-hour time frame, oh, by the way, the turtle soup should be visible on a lower time frame, like the hourly, for example. We can see these highs that we created on Wednesday. This is Wednesday up there. We created these highs. So much liquidity was taken. I mean, it was swept up here, and we ran up again one more time, then immediately rejected without closing above this high. So this was my indication for bearishness. Anyway, so we're paying attention to this 4-hour order block, this highlighted purple zone. The entry time frame, or the confirmation time frame for a 4-hour PD array, is a 15 minutes chart. So on the 15 minutes, I would be looking for a shift in structure, which we actually got already. We got a closure below the swing low right there after rejecting from the bearish order block. So any return to a fair value gap like this one actually right now would be good enough for an entry, with a stop loss being at this high or the 4-hour high, which is up there. But if you're looking for a lower time frame entry, you would have entered here and placed your stop loss at the high there. So this is what I'm looking for on AUD USD. Lower prices, but I'll wait for the Asia session kill zone for an entry, just in case we want to run the highs one more time. I'll be waiting for an entry to take it down. But yes, I'm bearish on AUD USD and bullish on the dollar. The last one that I wanted to cover was GBPAUD, which is the one that I am paying attention to this week, as I've mentioned many times already. I was paying attention to this CB, and this is literally my illustrations from Sunday actually. I was paying attention to this fair value gap, and I said that we should expect some sort of internal range liquidity to external range liquidity. So now that we've rejected from this, a very clear rejection after reaching the opening price for the month, which is right there, the EQ line, we went back to the opening price and rejected so aggressively. I don't think we got this much of a rejection in the past couple of days, actually probably in the whole month. Maybe here, maybe here. Yeah, maybe these 2 days we actually got that quick rejection to the opposite direction like we're getting here. So we're getting a quick rejection going to the last days of the last day of the month, and of course probably going to trickle down to next week as well. But yeah, I'm looking for an expansion going down to the sell side liquidity, because we have now rejected from a daily PD array. As we do, we go to a lower time frame. In this case, let's actually bring it up first. The daily PD array would be aligning with the hourly confirmation. So we got this daily PD array right here, this daily CB, which is the highlighted purple zone for those that are not familiar with my colors. Then we go down to the hourly time frame. On the hourly chart, I would personally be looking for a confirmation. In this case, ignoring my alerts for a while, let's just delete them. In this case, we can see this was where the opening was, the opening for the month. Let's enable that. Should be visible. Yeah, you can see the opening for the month there, rejected from it, displaced to the opposite direction. Normally this is when you would expect me to say that I'm waiting for a swing low to be swept and closed below off, but in this case we didn't get that. We got a change in the state of delivery. Looking at this bearish candle, notice how we aggressively closed below it. So we have now disrespected a bullish PDRA, which is an order block, a bullish order block. We've disrespected this CB, right, BC right here, this fair value gap in the form of a BC, from this candlestick's high to that candlestick's low. We've also disrespected this BC right here, high to low. We've now finally disrespected this one. So we are now disrespecting all bullish PDRAs, all areas where price could have supported for higher prices. We've disrespected them all and now continuing lower. So normally this is the time I would wait for a fair value gap, and the only one that I saw clear to me was measuring from the low to the high, enabling the 50%. I know there's so many lines on the screen right now, but enabling the 50%, I was specifically paying attention to the fair value gap right here, this fair value gap here, which is why I set the alert here, because inside of this fair value gap is when I'll look down even further for a 5 minutes chart confirmation. The same setup but on the 5 minutes, keeping in mind that I'll still be targeting the lows that we highlighted down here from the daily chart. So right now my most ideal position would be trading higher into this 1 hour fair value gap, hopefully back to the premium of the range, the 50% mark, then of course trading lower from there. That's my most ideal scenario. But of course the market does not have to give us that. The market doesn't have to do anything. The market can take this fall off as a rebalancing and will never give us this premium. In other words, you could have just sold where it is now and continue trading lower. If that happens during Asia, if we don't come back into this area during Asia session, then I'll look for an entry during the London session. I'll look for a liquidity sweep up, displacement to the opposite direction, and an entry. So if we get a choppy Asia, for example, which is very not likely with a London/Asia pair, which is GBPAUD. So if we get a choppy Asia somehow, I would look for a manipulation during London into this area, this 1 hour fair value gap, displacement to the opposite direction, structure shift on the 5 minutes chart, then continuation down. So this is what I'll be looking for going into tomorrow and of course next week, because we might not reach this target tomorrow unless we could definitely get there today and tomorrow. But that's my setup that I'm looking for on GBPAUD. While we're here, I would like to also mention that I was looking at the chart from the 5 minutes time frame during the New York session, while the 8:30 opening happened. So right here I was vigilant to the chart because the whole time I was looking for a displacement. I saw this displacement, but I saw it immediately get violated, and the signs were given with Euro AUD, the correlated pair. So I stopped paying attention to this, and we continued doing this the whole way until this point during the New York Open. The fact that it happened during the open was what made me think that we've made the high of the on the 5 minutes. So already my eyes are paying attention to this breaker for a possible entry. My mind is waiting for a shift in structure. I'm waiting for a candle to close below this swing low right there, so I can validate this as a market structure shift, right? So I paid attention and I waited. When price did this, we closed below the swing low there, and we confirmed this breaker along with a fair value gap right there. So now I had an order set for this fair value gap to be tagged, and the stop loss was there. Of course, the risk reward was insane because I was risking this for the sake of getting the daily chart lows all the way down there. So the risk reward was it's gonna be nice, and I would have been able to move my stop loss to break even earlier on. But yeah, as price printed, we never actually got that. At this point, I decided to blindly enter the trade because of this confirmation up here. Stop loss there. Problem is, I didn't enter with the account that I primarily trade. I just entered with a funded account challenge. So I did not capitalize on this move. This was the time I switched to the 15 minutes chart to see if we would be able to get a fair value gap create on the 15 minutes. The same structure, the same requirements. We got a market structure shift because this swing low was broken by this fair value gap and closed below it actually. So I waited and I saw that we created a fair value gap that encapsulates this swing low. Cancel. That encapsulates the swing low. So I was looking for this entry during the news, I believe at 10. I was looking to see if we'll be able to manipulate higher into this for me to take it lower. And price printed and got really close to it, but never actually tagged it. So we got this, and then we got this. This was the closest price ever got to my order. And yeah, as we know, the rest is history because we kept on printing lower prices from there. So I never really got the entries that I wanted because I was looking for a possible early entry by waiting for a 5 minutes and or a 15 minutes confirmation. I know this is not my rule because I'm supposed to be waiting for a 1 hour confirmation, but I was able to capitalize on a challenge account, so that's good, I guess. But I was not able to jump in blindly like I did on my other accounts. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up now. Yeah, we can see right there on the 1 hour time frame where I managed to get in the first position. Then the second one was on a separate account, which let's see if I can get it now. I think it's actually still running, but the second one was roughly the same area. So let's see. The second one was this one, and you can see where I tried a little scalp there, which failed the first attempt that I was mentioning. Then the second entry, which was the higher one that I mentioned from the 5 minutes chart. Let's see if we can get that. So yeah, on the 5 minutes I blindly jumped in there because of this confirmation that we mentioned up there, but I was not able to capitalize on a return back to this because I had a pending order there which never got tagged, as I mentioned on the 15 minutes right there. Never got tagged and price just went the other way. Of course, I have these limits right now because of the reasons that I gave in the video: the 1 hour fair value gap and this inversion fair value gap. The BC that got violated, I have 2 orders set there with the stop loss being at the high still. So yeah, this is my setup, nothing insane, and what I'm expecting going into the rest of the week. Stay safe, good luck, and good trading.